Okay, so when we're talking about people on screen, we want to now think how we can light them, because lighting is really what's going to make the difference in the video quality. Really step it up from looking amateurish to looking professional. Basically, by adding more light, I know the camera quality is very good nowadays. These chips in them and the sensors are outstanding. They have come so far in being able to give you pretty good details with much lower levels of light. Just because the cameras can do it doesn't mean you have to do it. By adding a higher level of light, you will certainly increase your image quality. There will be more sharpness to the image. The colors will be crisper. Just all the details will become more apparent to the viewer when you add lights to your images. Basically, the biggest thing you're trying to do is you're giving the illusion. I mean, we know that the monitors we're looking at are two-dimensional. We're not there yet that we have them jumping out at the screen, although it's coming. We know everybody's talking 3D now. But how do you do it with lights? How do you make them appear three-dimensional? What it comes down to is controlling the amount of shadows that you have, how you use the shadows to give that perspective of depth. You have to start thinking with your lights, foreground and background. How can I take my subjects that are in the foreground and somehow make it evident that there is a gap of space between the background? That's what your lights will do for you. So what I'm going to talk about here is three-point lighting. Three-point lighting is the key of how we control shadows. Now, the key to three-point lighting, first of all, it's the placement of the lights, but more importantly, it's the intensity of the lights. What a lot of people, I see a lot of rookies who know that they have to get lights, they fire the lights up on their subjects, and they look at them and they go, boy, they don't look good. I can't really tell where they are in reference to the background. And that's generally because there has been no attempt to balance the intensity of the lights. You really have to be aware of that. So I'm going to take it from a very simple point of view and we'll build from there. And I'll talk about intensity, placement, and the control of the shadows. So we always start our lighting with our main light, which is known as the key light. So here we are looking overhead at our subject. And these rules work exactly the same if you have one subject, two subjects, three subjects in frame. Now, if you are on a television set, a lot of times they would double and triple the amount of lights, but often they wouldn't. You might have individual key lights for each subject, but you would be sharing backlights and you would be sharing fill lights, and I'll get into that as we go along. So here we see the camera is straight out in front of the subject, and the key light is at about a 45-degree angle. Now, ideally, you don't want the light the exact same height as the subject's head. So if this person is standing, and let's say their head is, in between that 5-foot and 6-foot range, you don't want your light at the 6-foot range either, because although it's coming in at an angle, the lights are very strong, very powerful. You do not want them on the same plane. You typically want them a couple of feet higher and angled down at your subject. So that's the first thing you want to do with your key light. The second thing is the intensity. Now that'll all depend on the fixture that you choose to buy, and we're going to go through that in a little bit. Your different options out there. So if we know the key light is your primary lighting source, you put it off at a 45-degree angle. It's up a couple of feet. Now the other thing you want to control is the spill or any of the excess light from that key light. So I just want you to keep in mind, if you had two people here in an interview setting, let's say another subject was a few feet to the left of your subject, looking at it from the overhead, that key light would obviously be more intense on the person that it's closest to. And that's where you'll start getting into the different ratios. You would have, let's say, twice as much light on the main subject as you would on the person a few feet away from them. So that's key as we go on and look at our next light. So let's say this light is 100% intensity on your subject. What do we do with our next light, and where will it go?